Ooh, la la la.
I always want that song to keep going, man.
Yeah.
I
We got to
know.
get it to extend into our intro, our conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe we can drag it. Maybe we can continue it as it fades. We'll talk into it or something. We can
Yeah,
figure some
we
way
got
to
to
do
figure that
that,
out
or just have it playing in the background. Maybe we'll
You
just
guys,
play like super
the whole
quietly in the
time.
background
Yeah,
the whole
just on
time.
repeat.
It's totally
Yeah.
screwed.
you got lyrics to that thing? Is it got lyrics to it?
That one does not, but
All
our
right, we'll make up some
closing
lyrics. I've been
closeout one
sitting
does.
here,
Yeah.
spent Sunday, I've been drinking all night long.
We got the little coconuts
Yeah.
from Monty Python
Why
too, so
not?
we can ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So Bob, welcome, 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 everyone. Welcome to a new If by Whiskey. We've got Jason over here, and
So
we've got our good friend down here. One of the first 50 podcasts ever in the history of podcasts, Static Radio. Bob LeMent, welcome, cartoon sir.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, you reached out and you're like, hey, I was listening to you guys. I'd love to jump back on and just
Yeah.
chew the fat and talk about some stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
Jason, I'm sorry I didn't meet you prior, but I talked to Mark a while back, and
yeah,
we talked again at some other point. I can't remember the series of events, but then I thought, hey, it's been a while, maybe we should talk again. And you got this whole new thing going on, and it's like, sounds fun.
yeah, it's awesome. Well, welcome,
I was
sir. We're so
expecting
glad
a
to have you on.
package in the mail with some whiskey, but I don't think I gave you my address. So,
we haven't quite
Or
got there
we're
yet.
well, first of all, speaking of conspiracies, I still have yet to know your name, anything about you. I just like Jay, I know nothing about Jason either.
yeah.
It's crazy. So
Oh, that's good.
we're still
Well, hey,
working on our If by Whiskey brand. So we're gonna make an If
yeah,
by Whiskey at some point. We'll figure it
we
out.
will actually have a full whiskey. Yes.
I think you can. I mean, I know a guy who makes his own hot sauce,
Mhm.
and it's
Nice.
marketed and everything. And so, yeah, I couldn't imagine you could do whiskey, don't you think?
We're definitely gonna do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a big jump, but we're ready. We're ready for it. So welcome everyone. We're gonna talk about some fun stuff today. We're gonna talk about conspiracies. Bob, you wanted to talk about it, but before we do that, Jason, like I said, you and Jason haven't met. I find your story super fascinating just from the podcasting perspective because all of us are doing this still now in 2025 and we're useless and we're worthless and we're still talking into microphones. So I'd love to hear about how like your whole progression about like your story, your Bob LeMent origin story.
Yeah. I'll give you the nickel tour of the story here. Yeah. So the, the way it all started was my co-host Miles Title and I went to college together, and had the same major, and we had classes together. That's how we met. Actually, we didn't know each other prior to college, and I wanted to do some stuff at the radio station. Actually, the weird thing is I had an idea for a game show to be on college radio. That was my initial entree into the student radio station there in Carbondale, Illinois, and that didn't work out at all. But what happened was then Miles and I did a show very much like what we do today. We even called it Static Show. And we still had to play records because that was kind of the thing. The radio station was more music centric. And then we did that while we were at college. We graduated, went on with our lives. We were still friends. And I said, hey, there's a way to make the fun never end. We could do this on the internet. And this was in 1998. So probably the fall of 1998, if memory serves. I'm like, I got this idea. I can put us on the internet. We'll just do the show. We just won't do the music, which we didn't really, I mean, we liked the music, but we didn't really, that wasn't our thing, right? And and so I got a book called Learn HTML in 7 Days. And in 7 days, I made a website and was able to start posting audio because I had access to what at the time was called Real Audio, which
Real
is real
audio.
audio.
I still remember. Do you guys remember Real Audio with Robert Schmeichel on Saturday Night Live?
Oh no, I don't remember that.
Oh my gosh, it's like one of the funniest things. I'll have to share that with you guys. But it's so funny you mentioned that, Bob, because you talk about like HTML. Well, Jason and I perhaps you can help us because you learned HTML in 7 days.
In 99 or 98.
We started Never Being Coffee Company, so we need some web help.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, so anyway, so please continue.
But
you should sell whiskey on a coffee website.
Well, you could do that. It would be like an enhancer.
Espresso whiskey.
Enhancer. Yeah. So your coffee enhancer is the whiskey. Kind of like you do drops and stuff. I don't know if you ever seen
that. Just a nip.
Yeah.
Just a nip, like Spike. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. So I made this website and I said, hey, I have access, because this at the time, Real Audio server was expensive. This was streaming audio back in 1998, right? So I was able to do that, and I put it all together. And then Thanksgiving night of 1998, we recorded a show. And basically, that was the format was formed on the first show. I'm like, we'll tell funny stories. This is what we used to do on the radio. In between songs, we would tell funny stories and try to crack each other up and make fun of each other, break each other's balls. And that was the basis for the show. So we told stories and then put it out on the internet. And so I always say January 1999 because that's when we really started in earnest, right? So we did the Thanksgiving one. We actually recorded pretty regularly through Christmas, but then in January we were on our feet, and every week we had a show. And that was 2004 was when podcasting got coined. There's a lot of people doing what was called internet radio, and that's what we called ourselves, static internet radio. Yeah. And so then podcasting came along. I happened to be listening to Adam Curry at the time. He was doing a thing called the Daily Source Code, and I'm like, hey, this sounds really interesting. Hey, he's working with Dave Weiner, who actually kind of did all. Dave Weiner is the Steve Wozniak to Adam Curry's Steve Jobs, if you don't know the story
about the podcasting. He's the one who made the apps and the implementation of it.
Yeah, he did all the RSS enclosure and all the.
We all need a Wozniak, Bob.
Yeah,
we all need a Wozniak.
So then so I'm like, hey, this is great, and so I emailed Curry. I said, this is great. I think we should, do this and so forth. And he kind of said, yeah, you should do this and, whatever, and send it over. And so I stole Leo Laporte's RSS code off of his website, which he was doing version of the screensavers online at the time. So yeah, I grabbed that, I messed with it, got it all set up, got our audio enclosed in there. This is at that point, this is just when MP3 was still coming on, right? So this is what all made it happen was MP3. Prior to this, we did our stuff in Real Audio, we did QuickTime, we did all these other formats because there was no audio format. MP3 became the format just ahead of this. And then we were off to the races.
Too. Early Napster. That was early Napster.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, that was the thing. I always toss in there. Yeah. So we didn't do the music. We probably would have, but that was high, Napster days back in the late 90s where grandmas were getting sued for $100,000 and stuff, crazy stuff like that. So
I remember a woman had like 8 songs on her computer, and it was like 150 grand in 20 years or something. It was pretty crazy. If not for government,
Yeah. So we avoid, and Metallica.
Yeah.
Everybody, don't forget that portion of the story.
Used to be anti-establishment and then became the establishment.
Yeah, exactly. The anarchists don't want you to steal their music and play.
And they needed their own. There's a story of the opening band having to buy their own ticket to their own concert they were opening for that.
Metallica. Yeah, I mean, God bless Metallica, I suppose.
Oh,
but
yeah,
at that time,
total
at that time and place, I'm like, are we okay to cuss on here? I'm sure we are, but
yeah, absolutely.
Who are these fuckers?
Mark can't, but everyone else can't. Mark is not allowed to. He has a swear jar.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm on a 2-day. I've been on a 2-day no blue words.
Okay.
I've got 3. I get 3 strikes. After that, it's what is it? $1 or $5 per curse word.
Holy moly!
But it's monitored by the crowd. The internet police. They're all on it. I still have yet to break it. I'm feeling very good about it.
This is
well, good for you.
self-imposed, by the way. Nobody asked him to do this.
Nobody
really?
asked me to do it. It's self-imposed. I'm trying to add a little more professionalism to my shoddy behavior.
Okay. Well,
so.
hey, I don't blame you.
But I can curse all I want.
Oh, well, good. Then we'll
Unlike
just curse.
that
Fuck
motherfucker
this.
over
What
there.
the fuck?
And I support it. And I encourage all cursing.
But what's up with these Metallica fuckers being so chintzy with this and getting everybody's business there?
Yeah,
and
what?
Ruining,
I heard some
everybody's
story like they
buzz,
sued a kid for a cover song or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jason, it got ugly. It got ugly. And the thing is, and this is the thing, I think what we're finding is, and Jason, it's kind of been a little bit of our theme, is we see the rise of these people who were nothing, and they were anti whatever in some way, right? You call Metallica kind of anti-establishment music back in the day.
Oh yeah,
it was against the grain for sure. And you would call a lot of these political pundits against the grain, right? They gain this traction by being the anti and being shut down, stepped on, and people actually supporting them, and then they become the thing,
right?
They become the power. We're seeing it with like a Jordan Peterson nowadays, where they become the power, and now everything looks crazy. And Jason, I just shared with you that Jordan Peterson talked with James Lindsay, with Douglas Murray, and the title, the hilarious title, Israel or Hamas. No shit, dude. No shit. And call me two strikes for that. But come on, Israel. We knew this. We have not, when did we ever say it wasn't? No, the Palestinians. We're talking about these women and children being slaughtered, and they are like, but Hamas. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
it is crazy.
Anyway.
Well, once you get indoor plumbing, you don't want to move backwards. So, Metallica got indoor plumbing. They're like, fuck, I'm not going back to sitting in the outhouse again at this point.
I know. I got a haircut now. I'm looking sharp. I look good in a suit.
I blame it on Lars Ulrich. I mean, that guy he's got rat fink written all over his face. So
got a new conspiracy theory.
But anyway, so I mean, we did that. We've been producing ever since. I mean, it's been now we're in our 26th year of doing weekly shows and just being our stupid selves and throwing things out on the internet to see what's going to happen. But I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, this is something this is what happened that you say, oh, well, this is, it's been fun. I love to talk to Miles. We've had guests, but most of the time we just talk to each other and try to make each other laugh. But the craziest thing that happened out of all this that I never would have thought in all of my life is I'm actually a fairly quiet, reserved person. But with this kind of, getting into this media, it's really opened me up. And I mean, they say public speaking is, one of the greatest fears for most people. And by doing this for so long, I have no fear of public speaking. And I will go, people will be like, hey, will you go do the show?
Find a cartoon suit to wear, or what do you
in the day world, then I'm out on my own. So yeah, but it's been a miracle. I'll be honest with you. This is one of those things. I mean, I should write a course on podcasting your way to public speaking skills, because essentially this has happened. Because the biggest thing about public speaking that I think people really fear is what the fuck's going to come out of my mouth, right? And we worry about this constantly in your head, and that's why I say I ask if we could cuss, because I can do it no cussing or cussing. But by doing this for so long,
your brain, right? If you're in this casual mindset and they're like, oh, by the way, you can't cuss, and you were expecting to be looser, and you have to kind of shift your brain, right? You have to kind of think on the fly in a way.
But it's been a miracle. Just last week I was talking in front of 700 people.
Very cool.
People shit their pants with things like this.
What kind of topic did you talk about?
Well, I can't get into that.
Top secret.
Talk about conspiracies. Oh my
Well, yeah,
God.
I guess we had to kill us if we talk about that.
Mm.
But that's also 700 people.
No, but yeah,
is that
but
the biggest crowd? Is that the biggest crowd you've ever spoken in
no,
front of?
I've talked. Well, it's almost. I mean, I'm talking to like 1,000 some people, and it doesn't really seem to matter, you know. But the funny, it's just a weird kind of happenstance. And I mean, it took a while. Don't get me wrong; it wasn't like overnight or anything. But I find that growing up with that being one of those things, and I think it's still on the charts of the most scary shit you'll do in your life. It's still way up there, right? But this media of doing this and talking off, top of your head, on your feet, thinking about things, reacting, and so forth, it really does help, because then whenever you get up there, you don't freeze up, you don't worry about everything that's happening. You can just roll with it, and the reality is that most of those people don't even listen to you. And I think that's what happens, is you realize that you're, at the end of the day, they're like, whatever you say up there. I mean, this gets exemplified in politics every day. It doesn't matter what you say, as long as you're not berating a child or something, or talking about, murdering, mass murdering people. Nobody cares what you said. They just like, oh, there's a guy up there talking to me, or there's a gal up there talking to me, and they sound coherent. That's great. And then they go on with their day.
Right. You can even throw in some casual genocide and, talking about murdering.
Yeah, you could
people.
You could allude to
people don't seem to care too much. Yeah.
You could
have a guy say, I could shoot a guy on 5th Street and I would never get arrested. I'd get away with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like that, maybe running a country, maybe the largest country like in the world or so, something like that.
Something like that.
That's pretty awesome, though. Pretty cool.
But no,
I'm happy to hear you say that, though, because I started this because of that very reason. Like, I specifically said, hey, I don't like talking in public. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Let me go online and just start talking. And I started out really scripted, but I'm slowly like developing and getting away from that and just trying to talk off the top of my head and just see what comes out. So
the script is going to kill you. Get rid of that script.
Yeah.
All you need to do is take about 5 minutes before you get on and say, okay, here's what I'm going to say.
Right.
It doesn't even have to be, it doesn't need to be in every word. All it needs to be is a real quick outline. And you're like, okay, and then I'm going to react. Right. So that's probably one of the most important things, is you got to react. So, for instance, this last week, I said my name. Hey, everybody, this is Bob LeMent. I'm glad you're all here today. And this guy starts clapping. He wasn't supposed to start clapping. And I turn around.
Early.
He's early. Yeah. One guy starts clapping. And so then I'm like, hey, I paid that guy $5. It's well worth it. And then I go on with my thing. And then everybody started clapping. I don't know what was going on. But anyway, totally off the cuff, totally reacting to the situation. And, it paid off. I mean, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does, but you just have to roll with it. And who cares, if things fall flat? Don't worry about telling a joke. Just say something funny in the room, make an observation. It doesn't really matter. I mean, some people will remember you, and most people will forget you, and you just go on with your day.
I'm just glad when I forget
what you
myself.
want to hear about, though.
No, that's awesome. No, it's great to hear that journey, because it does speak to that. Because to Jason's point, I think one of our two fears, I think, for both of us, is when we prepare for a show, like Jason will be like, I feel like I'm trash for the show, and it's like the best show he's ever done. And then,
that's what happens.
You know what I mean? So it's like the self, the solipsism, but it's like that self anxiety, because we just don't want to have recorded, like, be made fools of. And like, we're voluntarily making fools of ourselves here. We're voluntarily putting ourselves out there to literally be recorded and have a circular replay of some stupid thing you said,
But that's
pretty amazing.
It's all good, though. I mean, chances are you're
yourself.
not gonna say anything that's gonna be, horrible. I mean, you keep it all in relation to what your situation is, right? So it's all situational. So I didn't cuss last week while I was doing this because it was a more professional setting. Here, it's part of the banter, right? Is to cuss a little bit, I'm sure, other than you, Mark, but because you're in self-imposed curse shutdown or something.
My curfew. My curfew. It's a curfew.
Cursatory.
But that's been one of the best things. I mean, but the other thing is just meeting so many people like yourselves. I talked to a guy from Kenya the other day and did a show of his show. I mean, I've talked to people all over the world because of this. Even back in the day, whenever it was just more internet radio people, there still was people all over the place, and you could connect with them. And it's just a way to broaden your world. And so, think about it that way. You get to connect with all these interesting folks. Some of them a little more interesting than others, but some of them are good, solid folks that you like to talk to and find out you have stuff in common, even if they're halfway around the world. And that's one of the other things that I never would have thought would happen. So, and I'm using this because it just happened last night. I was telling my wife, I was looking, and there's a guy who listens to the show. He's been listening to our show for a long time. I think even before podcasting, and he goes by Manny the Mailman. He's a mailman in New Jersey. And so Manny the Mailman's been a long time listener. He's a mailman, and he's retiring. And I'm friends with him on Facebook. I get this across my feed. He's standing with his wife at a retirement party, and he has a cake. Now, it's probably been, I had to look it up, but probably at least 11, 12 years. Miles and I, on one of the shows, we came up with this character called Flat Manny, which is based off of a children's book. I can't remember who the children's book is now. He's like Flat Al or something. Anyway, it's this little flat paper kid.
Flat
Stanley, that's it. So Flat Stanley, you take a picture of Flat Stanley.
Light up like he knows it.
Yeah, Flat Stanley. So we made up Flat Manny, and I made a caricature for Manny of a mailman. If you remember Mr. Zip, when they put in zip codes way back in the 60s, they had this little character, and I made it look like Manny. And so we made up this thing called Flat Manny. Flat Manny has had his picture in many parts of the world because people think it's a kind of funny thing. And that character was on his retirement cake. Flat Manny
very cool.
was on his retirement cake in New Jersey for this man that I actually have met him once. He was in St. Louis to go to a Cardinals game, and I met him beforehand. But I'm like, who would have ever thought, right? If we'd never done this, we never would have encountered Manny the Mailman. We never would have come up with his character. Miles uses Flat Manny to get close to women. Just so that's the truth of it all. Is
Miles single still?
No, he's married, but he is a horrible person that loves to, get close to barmaids and waitresses and have them hold up his paper doll of Flat Manny and get a picture taken because he wants their picture, but it's an entry point. You know what I'm saying? He's almost predatory.
Oh, for sure.
It's weird, yeah.
For sure.
So all these pictures of these crazy waitresses with their push-up bras and everything, and Flat Manny in between their tits. So it's great, but that was kind of the progression. But the funny thing is that Manny's friends use it. I mean, I have people over in England have pictures with Flat Manny in different places, in Australia. And then I was telling my wife, I was laying there, I'm like, look at this. I go, Manny the Mailman has Flat Manny on his retirement cake. Who would it ever, in any world, whenever, 20 years ago or whatever, thought this could be a possibility. And
that's
there
so
you
cool.
go. It's
wild. You can connect with anybody around the world. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing that we can do that. So once again,
let's move on to these other things now. Oh yeah. Time.
Yeah.
Wait, we had a comment from Zach. Can we pull that up again? Why?
What was
it?
Bob
a blue cat? And why is that awesome?
Yes.
Why am I a blue cat?
So before we continue, we're going to answer this blue cat question in 1 second. I'm going to shut this off, but first of all, welcome. Thank you everybody for joining us. You're joining to another If by Whiskey. You've got Jason over here and myself. We're running the show. We've already got over 30 people on tonight. Thank you so much. We've had such an amazing run the last couple, 3, 4, 5 shows, over 150 people watching. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We keep wanting to give you new stuff. Yeah. We're so grateful. And what we try to do is get new people on. We've got down here, we've got Bob LeMent. So do us a huge favor, guys. If you haven't yet, if you're on Twitter, if you're on or X, if you're on Facebook, please just jump over to Rumble. Just type in If by Whiskey. If you could just please give us a follow. We just started this part. You know, Jason and I are about 100 followers each on our other show, but this is brand new and it's hard to get that going. So if you could just do us a favor, please go to Rumble, If by Whiskey, give us a follow over there. Once we have the 20 followers, we get the little name on the end, and we're going to start being able to do some more competition or some more stuff.
I just unfollowed so I could refollow again.
That's yeah, exactly.
I am.
So exactly. Unfollow and refollow if you do that. So please do that. We're just
a
so
second
grateful.
account. Go follow again, twice.
Yeah. So Bob is a blue cat. And first of all, Zach's one of our great friends. His first comment is this. It's just I can only imagine what Zach did when he first put on the screen and he saw you. So please share us your story, the Mr. Blue Cat.
Oh, the blue cat. So the blue cat is kind of an extension of my persona, I guess you would say. The blue cat came about because we were just audio only for the longest time, and we had a person who was listening, and they go, "I would really love to see you guys as a cartoon," because we tell some kooky stories, and it would be kind of funny. And that stuck with me because this was like back in the early 2000s when that came across. And I'm like, I've always had that in the back of my head. And so around 2018, I kind of happened upon technology to make this happen. Now, Miles is a Luddite, right? So he doesn't have a lot of technological savvy. And so at the time, I basically would record us on 2 separate tracks, and then I would sync everything up and render the animation. And if you go to our YouTube channel and you go back a few years to that time period, you'll see all kinds of animated versions of us doing the show. And that's where the blue cat came in. I'm a blue cat. He was a snowman. And that just happened to be, I just had to pick some characters, I'm like, well, who can be what? And I thought, well, this kind of fits me. And kind of a slovenly snowman fits him. So we just went with it. He didn't have much choice in it, to be honest with you, but he probably would have picked something else, But we did that for a while, and then it got kind of cumbersome. And so I went on vacation, and when I came back from vacation, I'm like, I just cannot keep this up unless something else changes, because literally I would do overnight rendering to get this animation going. And if it bombed in the middle of the night, I had to start it again. And that happened a lot because of technology just a few years ago. And
I'm running into that right now with my computer. There's some kind of weird heating. I ended up having to buy a new computer, and it's like, why? Mm-hmm. Why? Because imagine we're sitting here in the middle of this great engaging conversation, and it's like,
and it shuts down, right? Exactly.
Yeah, it's just the worst.
So the cat got put to bed for a while, and then it got resurrected because of I guess it was during COVID, right? So during COVID was kind of what I would call the wellspring of guesting came into existence during COVID, and I've never been on camera, right? So for me, I've been on camera for myself, but never been on camera for static radio, and everybody wanted to do video. And so I'm like, okay, well, let me check this out. So the cat now is a live animation. So it's looking at me, and it's following my head movements, my eyebrow movements, and my mouth movements, and so forth. And all in real time now, because the technology has progressed a bit. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll do this for the interviews, because I want to have this persona. I don't want to, totally be myself, because I have other stuff going on in the background as myself that probably wouldn't jive too well with some of the things that I do as the cat. And so the cat became my persona. I've been doing that. And then I got on a kick, I think it was like 2022. And this is going to be an old reference, but I told Miles on one of the shows, I said, I'm going to be the Charles Nelson Riley of podcasting.
Charles Nelson Riley.
now, that's a weird reference, an old reference from when I was a kid. But he used to be on television a lot as a guest. Match
was
game,
my
exactly.
favorite.
Yes,
absolute
I love the match game.
Favorite game.
So I've over the last few years, I've been doing a lot of guesting spots, and that was my joke on our show. And then every once in a while I'll chime in and say, yeah, I've been a guest again. And then I'm the CNR of podcasting. So, that's been kind of a thing, but I always, for Miles, he likes to do the show, and that's good enough for him. For me, I'm constantly wanting to do something in conjunction with the show that's a little bit different. You know what I mean? So I want to do this animation, and I've done other stuff. I do guesting, I do whatever, try different technologies, right? And I'm constantly just experimenting with all these different things, and the show kind of helps me. That's my place to experiment. And so I've done that just years and years now. I mean, it's sad to know that Skype is shutting down, because we started when Skype started. I started using Skype.
Wow.
It was in Estonia, which was the most bizarre thing. I was really worried that I was going to get hacked or something, because I was going to this website in Estonia to get this software. And now it's going to be shut down. We've already outlived Skype, right? Because we've got this, we've got a billion other things. I was just on a thing called Jitsi. Have you guys ever even heard of this?
No.
JIT.SI, which is a free Zoom ripoff that you can do online. JIT.SI. It worked great. I used it. And so, I mean, but all this weird technology stuff, I just love to fiddle around with it and see what it'll do. And that's where the cat came from too, was just on this desire to, hey, wouldn't it be fun to do this? And so, yeah, and I don't know where I'm going to go next, but we'll see. I believe, I'll tell you guys this. So what I think is going to happen in the future is, and it's already happening to a certain extent, is a lot of people are going to do avatars, and it's going to become the opposite of what it is now. So you're not going to see people, you're going to see avatars, but they're not going to be the avatars that you're seeing now. They're going to be good ones. I think
they're going to be like filtered cartoon versions of you in a lot of ways, like that just off type thing, like Art Deco version. Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
So I think a lot of the avatars now that are easily available they don't look very good. So I think what people like about this is it's a real 2D piece of artwork, right? That's talking to you and moving around and so forth. Most of these avatars, like you get on Zoom and everything, are kind of what I would call half-ass 3D. They're like shitty looking 3D. And I don't think that they don't have it's a je ne sais quoi, right? So
it's like a depth to it, like a fullness to it or something.
Exactly. It doesn't seem realized. And so but I think we're going to be there with AI and everything, and that's going to be where we're heading to, and voice manipulation.
Right before it kills us, it will be. Yeah.
Right.
Great.
Yeah. And voice manipulation as well. So that way you can adjust your voice as needed. So you don't have to.
We're all going to be Imogen Heap before we know it.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be a bunch of, me's or whatever. It used to be on the.
I want to be Alex Jones. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh.
I just want speak and spell, Mark. Hello. How are you today? What are you doing?
We tried to get the animation. I got Adobe Character Animator. I got a trial of that to test it out. And then it's like, no, you got to run it through Streamlabs, like DNI, or I don't even remember the whatever it is, and then like, okay, let me try that, and then it's like, no, you need another layer of software, and I'm just like, I give up. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Bob's laughing at us. He's like, ha ha ha, you guys, simpletons, you Luddites.
No, I'm just, but it is, it's because I use the character animator, but yeah, it's a couple of layered things, and it's a little bit of a curve, but I mean, once you get it, you get it. So, but I think it's going to be easier. I think the character animator is more than what you need for this. And eventually they're going to come out with something that's going to be just for this. It'll have it all in one, and you'll be able to create a character and be the character in minutes. It's all going to happen, and a lot of that's on the phone now. And so that's where I think that's going to explode more and more. I think I have something I played with on the phone.
It's going to be worse, Bob. We're going to hit a button, and there's going to be 2 AI characters having a podcast conversation with each other.
No input. Yeah,
it seems like it's going to be us. It's not going to be us, and it's going to be better than us.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, but we're not quite there yet. The problem is, and this is that's something, because so Miles and I went to film school, so we both actually have cinema and photography degrees. And what drives me crazy right now is you can get all this AI editing, and we'll cut out all the pauses, right? And you see it on everything, right? On ads, on games, and everything. All it is a bunch of jump cuts, right? It goes from one point to another without any kind of smooth transition or change in depth of field or change in framing or anything.
And for you and I, Bob, that is like schizophrenic. It almost puts us in like a epileptic seizure, right? Because jump cut, we don't understand jump cuts. They didn't do editing like that back then.
No, exactly.
There was no time to do that.
No, you did that, and you failed, and the teacher kicked you in the ass. And he's like, what the hell are you doing, you idiot? You
can't take one cut. You can't take one smooth cut. What's wrong with you? Yeah,
exactly. Were you paying attention? We did a whole freaking chapter on this stuff to make it so you have cutaways and you can have a smooth transition and keep track of the action.
And it's literally called a jump cut. Yeah, because you literally see like this
jumping.
Stuff
yeah, it's twitchy. A bunch of twitchy stuff.
It's like. Oh, it's crazy.
That, and I'm also, I'm not as adamant as I used to be, but it's landscape, for Christ's sake, not portrait. Don't film anything for video in portrait mode. You fucking numbskull.
What's wrong with shorts, man? You leave shorts alone.
I'm just saying, I've relented on that. But when it first came on, I'm like, can't hold the phone the other fucking way.
Yes, I'm with you.
I do. I love the 16:9, right?
It's like, do you need, half of the screen to be above the person's head? No, that's not how you frame anything. Anyway, sorry, beautiful. I'm getting into my other mode there.
Well, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna start our show now that we got
to get into it.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Beautiful. Let's get into this thing.
Thanks for the intro. That was great.
And
you can cut all that.
It's so great seeing you again, Bob. I mean, you haven't aged a day since I've seen you. I mean, it's been years.
Yeah, I know.
You don't.
I got a haircut, but
I see one little gray in the blue there.
Yeah, so once again, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We've got 35 people on. If you do get a chance, please head on over to Rumble. Type in If by Whiskey. Follow us there. Join us there. There's actually a very lively chat going on there. It's just broken for something. It's not connecting today to the StreamYard. So I apologize. But Zach and Thane are on there. And I think Jason and I are even chiming in there. So please jump over there. Give us a quick follow. But welcome. We have Bob LeMent all the way at the bottom there. Bob LeMent of Static Radio. He wants to talk about conspiracy theories. And Bob, I thought this would be a perfect opening because you and I are older. Jason knows nothing about the movie, I guarantee it. But I thought this would be a great start to the show. So
yeah, you were saying 98. I was gonna ask where you guys were in 1998. I was 11.
I was here in St. Louis working.
All right, gentlemen, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Welcome to Conspiracyville, everybody.
I felt good all the way. Oh, skate lace.
What are you guys doing?
Putting on the foil every game.
Yeah, you want some? No. Jesus fucking Christ, they don't leave the bench.
Put on your tinfoil. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting into it.
We're
putting on the foil, coach.
We're putting on the foil. So what I think, should we start, Jason, with the foil thing? You brought it up, the genius of it. Let me pull up the Jimmy Dore clip. But you were talking about it. So share with me your thoughts when you thought about this.
I was like, man, you know what? I've never actually thought about where this came from. The tinfoil hat thing, right? Because everyone knows that's like a substitute for a conspiracy theorist at this point. Is like, if you wear the tinfoil hat, that is a synonym now for being a conspiracy theorist. So I'm like, where did this come from? I looked it up. It's kind of a sci-fi thing. It came from science fiction. It was in some movies or novels, people describing, you wear this tinfoil hat to protect from microwave radiation or different types of radiation, or mind reading, mind control, radiation weapons that could control your brain. But it turns out it actually doesn't work. Even if that was real, it doesn't actually work. So, yeah.
Well, I guess I'll take mine off then. Christ.
It's unfortunate. Yeah. So if you guys, tin or aluminum, it doesn't really matter. I also looked at the material properties because I'm an engineer. I had to go look. I'm like, would there actually be a difference? Because it used to be tinfoil, right? Back in, I don't know how long ago, but it was tinfoil that people used in their kitchens and stuff. Now it's all aluminum. Aluminum's much easier to manufacture and more pliable, I guess. So it doesn't matter. Really. There's some advantages perhaps to aluminum. The tinfoil, I looked on Grok, I looked on AI for this. It was like, well, if you actually completely sealed your entire head in the foil, it might do something. It kind of creates a little bit of a barrier for certain types of frequency of microwave radiation. But other than that, it really doesn't. And one thing I thought was super funny is that if you there's a conspiracy that because aluminum foil will actually magnify certain types of radiation, there's a conspiracy theory about the aluminum foil hats that that the government actually put this out there to try to get people to put the hats on because it could magnify the frequency of the of the radiation, so they could better read your thoughts. I thought that was
men
really
who
fun.
think about goats.
Yeah.
It's like the old TV antenna. You stuck tinfoil on it in order to pick up stations.
Exactly.
And you do the rabbit, and you stand on one leg,
ears.
and you hold one leg out and one arm and one rabbit ear. And Jason, what was so funny about that thing was the tinfoil thing is like it actually amplifies the signal. And what I learned when we learned tinfoil hat, if you look at tinfoil, aluminum foil, what you see like Reynolds wrap or something, it's got a shinier and a duller side. We were actually told to put the shiny side in. It's to keep the thoughts bouncing in so they don't get out. It's not
like
to
there's
reflect
sunlight, they refract.
It's to keep the thoughts in. It's to
but
keep
to have any effect, you would have to enclose your entire head, which means enclose your entire body because you can't cut your head off.
Yeah.
So you'd have to wrap your entire body in foil to have any kind of effect. But then,
be in a
for some
Faraday
things, it
cage
amplifies it. Yeah.
You need to make some kind of beekeeper suit out of mesh and have like a Faraday suit is what you'd have to have, right?
Exactly.
Faraday suit.
A Faraday cage for your body.
Exactly.
For your body,
So let's get into it, guys. We had this guy in some jail cell. Cameras were off. Guards were on break. Some guy snapped his neck in like 5 places. Just out of the blue. It's like, whoa, he did it all by himself, right? Some guy named Epstein. So I want to share that because this is a huge conspiracy. We are still waiting on the files, Ms. Bondi. And I don't care about the videos with Epstein. I care about the other videos with the other people, not the Epstein guy. Do you get it? Are you getting it yet?
We had the files. Don't you remember all the people coming out with the binders?
The binders. And what's funny, the binders had less info than we had. Like they're flipping through, it's like, got it. Oh my God, this is missing like half the stuff we have. It's like pretty crazy. So So then last week, Miss Virginia Giuffre,
I don't know how to say it.
She suicided herself. The #1 star witness to the guy who killed himself and snapped his neck in 3 places somehow miraculously also killed herself after getting hit by a bus a couple months ago after being, yeah, sure. Okay. Now, what's funny about that? So now we have 2, right? Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly in prison. We've never seen her in prison, but allegedly she is. And a third person, Virginia Giuffre, she testified against a guy, Jean-Luc Ballard or something like that in 2020 against another sexual assault who was also associated with Epstein. And guess what? After he was found convicted, he suicided himself. So I thought this would be a perfect clip to join in this conspiracy with Jason's beautiful finding of what tinfoil was, because Jimmy Dore went on a little tinfoil rant too. It's kind of fun. So here it is.
I'm still listening. Give me a sec.
All right. Well, I can wait for you, sir. We can talk a little bit, Bob. So Bob,
is he going to get tinfoil?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. Okay. All right. Let me go play it for us. Yeah, he's probably going to get tinfoil. Is he getting tin or aluminum? Which one did he decide on?
I hope he doesn't get the lead foil by accident.
Oh, that's the worst. It goes right blood-brain barrier.
Right,
boys.
exactly.
I should be suspicious, just that she's talking about the fact that she isn't suicidal and that evil people want her dead. Like, why would the same people behind Jeffrey Epstein want one of his victims dead? It's what are you going to put your tinfoil hat on a little too tight? And by the way, where the F do you get tinfoil these days? It's all aluminum. Right? I got to go back to 1913 just to get tinfoil. I'd love tinfoil.
That's right.
Aluminum's no good. Tin, I'll take tin. And by the way, if you could go back to 1913, what would you do?
I'd put that last part in there.
IBM. Weren't they still around in 1913? International Business Machine?
Possibly. But I would. Well, it's funny because Jimmy Dore says 1913. I had to clip it after the 1913 because Jason and I will talk about it, Bob. We're going to talk about 3 things that happened in 1913 But
okay.
But you would have bought IBM. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, it'd be worth the fortune.
Genius move. Jason, 1930. So the foil. What would you, if you could go back to 1913?
I didn't even catch that until now. When he said 1913, I'm like, oh, okay, because I watched that clip before when he sent it, and I was like, okay, yeah, tinfoil. All right, I get it. No, 1913. The creation of the Federal Reserve.
There you go. Yeah.
So it combines a couple more conspiracies, Bob. We're not going to go too deep into them, but basically 1913 is the creation of the Fed by this group of bankers and whatnot. Also the 16th and 17th Amendment, the income tax, starting income tax, and the 17th Amendment, which was the senators being directly elected, not state appointed by the state. So it changed everything. Okay. Yeah. And then a year later, the Great War started, which needed funding to start, which just happened to get it the year before. What a miraculous turn of events this happened. Like, what a beautiful turn of events. So
that Franz
I thought I'd
Ferdinand.
throw that in there.
Yeah, the Franz Ferdinand, he started it all.
Yeah, totally such a douchebag. I guess, they really liked him. So
yeah.
So anyway, so we're going to that. I'm gonna spin this one in as well because we talked about it earlier. In addition, let's get your thoughts on this, Bob. What are your thoughts on the Epstein stuff, like in general? Have you been following any of this stuff on X or anything?
Yeah, I haven't took a deep dive or anything, but I mean, the interesting thing about it, and I just saw this the other day, is there's a whole thing that says he was, and you guys probably already know this, but that yes, he was, kind of this guy who was, getting billionaires, young ladies and so forth, and jetting all over the world and causing all kinds of interesting things to happen. But he was a CIA operative. Have you heard this one? Yeah.
We have.
So
we'll go deeper. But yeah.
This is something I stumbled upon recently, and I'm like, that makes perfect sense. So they're playing him as this horrible person, right? But the reality is he's basically just getting, fuel for the fire. And so these people are easily entrapped in certain circumstances when you dangle the forbidden fruit in front of them and give them what they think is isolation. And he's just the guy who's there to make it all happen and gather it all in, right? So, it's not because he's, it may be that the government wanted him dead, not that all these billionaires wanted him dead. Because they're like, okay, we've got what we need now. We don't need him anymore. He's going to be in the way and just going to cause trouble. We've sewn everything up. We've got everybody under control. And then they get rid of him and move on with the next thing. And now all these people are causing problems. And so they're going to have to go through and take care of them as well. I mean, it reeks of the Clinton, stuff from before, whenever all of their folks start dying. It's the same playbook. It's just a different play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we know the CIA is involved with a lot of stuff, right? A lot of the things that we think are, black market kind of things. I think what Mark's about to play here is one of those. The drug trafficking looks like. But yeah, we know that they've admitted this isn't even like a conspiracy theory anymore. It's conspiracy fact at this point.
Right.
They admit to it.
Air America, right? They ran drugs during Vietnam and Laos and the Ollie North and all that stuff that happened, all CIA connected. I mean, it goes on and on and on. What I was watching with the Epstein thing was the fact that CIA is running amok and people are still trying to wrangle them and haven't been able to wrangle them because, they keep killing people. The whole Kennedy thing, CIA involvement, right? So Kennedy was going to abolish the CIA and so was his brother. They were all gunning for him, right? Am I wrong, Mark? You're smiling.
No, not at all. And I pulled that clip because I actually have two other ones because we're talking about the deep state here. It made me think of Cash actually before that. Yeah. Cash Patel. So, okay. So Bob, why I wanted you on, and this sounds really odd. I don't know if it sounds odd or whatever, but like you're a super smart guy who's like in the real world. And I live in this like sub underworld of darkness and evil. And I look for the problem. Okay.
Right.
I seek the problem. Okay. I'm not good up here. I'm not good up here. Okay. But I know what you probably hear is what most people would probably hear. And I think it's beautiful that you can share that, like what you're hearing information wise. You're like, did you hear this? Epstein might have been a CIA agent, and I'm like, wait, hold on. Let me give you 4 books about that, and then let me give you like, you know what I mean? Because like we live in this underworld of craziness, right? So like, Jason and I have talked about the media and their manufacturing your consent because all this stuff all leads into this, right? So you just talk about CIA. I'll play this, and this is an interesting. Are you familiar with Cash Patel, the CIA director now?
Okay, he's the new guy, right? So
FBI. The new guy, right?
FBI.
So basically, this is my story with Cash. I know Clint Russell met him at Freedom Fest. I briefly met him at Freedom Fest last year, and he was on a panel with Clint, and they were talking about the deep state and all this stuff. And Clint shares a story where he's like, "Hey, can I get your number so we could talk?" Or he goes, "Well, if you want the CIA to follow you, you can take my number." So he made some glib joke. But Cash Patel went on a 2-year rant about Epstein and about the deep state and about the CIA and all this stuff. Okay. I'm going to share an older clip of Cash Patel talking about why complaining about the FBI. Here's a simple one. And it's crazy. And this is with Benny. Is it Benny Thompson? Do you know this guy's name? Johnson? Is it?
I don't remember. Yeah, it's something like that.
Benny
Thompson, whatever.
Benny Hanna, something like that. So, all right. So this is Cash Patel talking about how upset he is.
It's the same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing? Oh,
I saw you
give out the list.
I saw you make news this morning about that. I got to get to that. Yeah. You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? And why is it that the Senate, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself, but he released the names, right? What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? You're going to accept Dick Durbin's word, or whoever that guy is, as to who is on that list and who isn't, and that it can and can't be released? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
Director CIA, everybody.
Coming up.
That guy.
We need to adjudicate these polls. God knows the FBI and DOJ aren't going to do anything. But how are you going to reward the FBI with a new headquarters building after their illegal surveillance on Donald Trump continues with a reauthorization of FISA, and we can't even get basic documents out? This is why America hates Congress. And this is why I'm tired of the Republican majority saying they're going to get the job done and failing.
Interesting.
I met Dick Durbin a long time ago. Seemed like a nice enough guy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He's been a senator in Illinois for a long, long time.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So thoughts, gentlemen, on it sounds like a completely normal rant that he wants stuff to happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, put it out. Why not? Release the files.
And now he is the director of the CIA, correct?
FBI.
I'm sorry, director of the FBI. He just talked about the FBI. I apologize.
FBI had the list, yeah.
They're all whatever. Okay. So
3-letter acronyms. Yeah.
The blob.
So this is the same cache. What, a week ago? Was it a week ago, Jason, would you say?
I don't know. Yes.
So he's in Congress, and this is Kash Patel telling us how much he's going to share and release.
Did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself, or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When you think you'll
That question sounds like a threat.
I think in the near future, sir.
Like before I die?
We've been working on that, and we're doing it in a way that protects victims and also doesn't put out into the ether information that is irrelevant for production of the public, such as CSAM.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Why do all senators got to sound like Foghorn Leghorn, for Christ's sake?
Kennedy. We love that guy.
He's a Kennedy.
Yeah. I don't know, Mr. Kash Patel. You got to release those documents before I croak? I don't know, sir.
I didn't realize his full name was Cash App.
Yeah.
It's Cash App.
Yeah.
What is his Cash App handle?
So, what are your thoughts on the same guy being like literally the opposite person?
Remember who butters your bread, my friend?
Yeah.
His bread's getting buttered real good right now. So why is he going to give anything up?
Yeah.
Something happens when you get into government. It's just like you see
It's
with Trump
government.
too. It's like, oh yeah, we're
Yep.
gonna do all this stuff. We're gonna shut it down. We got Doge. We're gonna, cut the
Yep.
spending and everything. And then he's like, nah, actually, $1 trillion military budget. We're not cutting anything. None of the senators are voting on any of the Doge cuts. It's just something happens when you get in there. You're just like, nah, I'm good. This is paying me. I'm fine.
What happens when you go from having your own bank account to having everyone's bank account?
Oof, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Are you going to change your mind? I mean, you can fly all over the world in that position, do whatever you want in that position, know whatever you want in that position. Are you going to give all that up because there's some, pedophile? Everybody can classify him as pedophile. I'm sure he was a pedophile. The problem with it is anytime they're playing up an angle, that's not the angle that's really there.
No, he was a Mossad agent for Israel who bribed stupid incel type nerdy people into having sex, like Bill Gates and I'll happily say his name. He clearly is the pedophiles of all that group.
Right.
Bill Gates. I mean, Melinda's like, oh, I'm disgusted that he even hung out with that guy. Like that was literally the whole thing. I mean, it's crazy.
It is, and I mean, but so yeah, anything that's in the media, you have to look at it from the side, you know. And but as far as going back to Kash Patel, I mean, his life has changed. It's changed forever. He's a federal employee. He's just got to make it a couple of years, and he's set, right? He's going to have a pension. He's going to have health care. He's going to be taken care of, right? As long as he plays ball, right? So who wouldn't? If I told you guys, right, Mark, guess what? I'm going to give you a position that pays $120,000 a year. Right, you're gonna have expense account. You're gonna travel for us, you know, and then you're gonna basically throw on darts at a board to say where do you want to go today, and we're gonna pay for it all. You're gonna keep most of your money, and then when we're all done, you know, you sail into the sunset, and get free health care for the rest of your life. Anybody have that deal going?
I know I would have absolutely jumped at it. But I guarantee that I would hesitate before jumping at it the second time because it's just like how much I know. Like, Bob, since we've spoken, I mean, the podcast is only, I mean, I think I met you maybe 2022, 21. So maybe 4 or 5 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in that 3-4 years, Jason can attest that my brain has broken. I have totally deprogrammed. I've totally deprogrammed from all the craziness and developed a whole new crazy system.
It was already broken when I found you.
it was already broken when he found you.
Yeah.
So, all right. So what I wanted to share once again, Bob, you brought this up. Jason, you brought up as well, the CIA stuff. So in the 80s, there was this thing. Bob, you want to share a little about the Iran-Contra? Because that was kind of our wheelhouse when we grow up.
Right, yeah. And what I can remember here is Ollie North was in charge of that, and he was sacrificed, right? So why wouldn't they sacrifice another one? I mean, he's still around. He didn't get killed.
Sacrificed and then redeemed, actually.
Yeah, really right, exactly. He became useful again for some reason, and they brought him back up, right? But yeah, he didn't get killed. But I mean, in the media, I mean, you would think he was, you know, Saddam Hussein or something at the time. He was like the worst guy ever. And he had a secretary, I can't remember her name, that got pulled into this as well at one point early on. But they were selling arms, right? Iran-Contra. They were selling drugs to buy arms. Was that the big thing? Yeah.
Yeah. So here's an interesting one. Once again, this is the one that we're
in the middle of don't what was it? Say no to drugs.
Just say no. Just say no.
In the middle of just say no,
at the same time that reading was fundamental. Reading was fundamental. Just say no. Right. You know, we had a lot of cool slogans. Where's the beef? We had a good one there.
Yeah,
Where's the beef?
Where's the beef? Yeah.
Wendy's.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
Only a little smoky.
Did you guys have Dare?
No,
yeah, we had Dare.
Well, I didn't have Dare. You probably had Dare. I didn't have Dare.
I had Dare. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know Dare actually makes kids try drugs? Did you know that?
We had Mad with the drunk driver and Moms Against Drunk Driving.
Yeah. Mad, Sad, and Dad, I think.
Sad and Glad.
Yeah. All of them.
So, wait, can you pull up Justin's comment there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The last one about Kash.
Yeah. Hold on one second. I apologize if I'm not seeing it. All right.
Yeah, he said, for Kash, you don't know what you don't know. Easy to rant about what needs to be done when you don't know what the repercussions could be. Now that he knows, perhaps he saw more caution is needed. When I read before I read that, I was thinking kind of a similar thing. Like, he gets in there, he realizes how messed up it is, and knows that if he just blows it all up in one motion, then it's going to cause a lot of problems. So like, knowing that, do you think that people in that position could think, you know what, if I just expose everything right now, it's going to blow this whole thing up. It's going to cause so many problems. It's going to be pain for everybody. Let me slow it down and just, even if, let's say he has good intentions. I don't know if he does, but let's say, just for the argument's sake, he's got the best intentions. He really does want to take things down, take the corrupt government part of it down. Do you think that's a reasonable stance to take? Like, if I say it all now, it's going to blow up. Let me just slow it down, and I'll go along with some of it for now until we get to the real good stuff, and then we'll get it. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense. And first of all, Justin, with giving this is what grace is about. A comment like that, like honestly, that is exactly how one gives grace. I'm not giving it to him, but that's how one would do it.
I don't know enough about Cash Patel, but does he have children? Does he married?
Right, but this isn't right. This isn't about Cash specifically. Let's take a step a little bit to broaden that comment by Justin. We know that there are things he had conversations before he talked to Congress last week. He had conversations before he got appointed. He had conversations before he got talked about being appointed. I absolutely know that these are truths. Now, he still can choose to take that path, thinking he could change from the inside, which there's a movie called Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. What's that, from 1930 something?
Jimmy Stewart.
Isn't like 1931 or something?
Yeah.
So let's not kid ourselves. We know that there's a game. That's kind of the point though, right? Like, do we want to become the game, the monster in the abyss when we stare into it, or do we want to fight it? Like, and I'm not saying the correct answer is right or wrong. Some people think they can I'll fix it from the inside. I'm strong enough, whatever. That first conversation where they show that different angle at JFK, that changes your mind pretty quick. Trump had a little bit of humility coming out of that little incident he had. You know what I mean? They're like, we don't need to miss next time. So just a thought, a couple thoughts about that. But it is true. I don't think you know what you're getting into. I mean, imagine Tulsi gets up to the things. He goes, I just want to know, everybody, UFOs, real aliens, here they are. Let's cart them out. And they just start rolling out. It would be like War of the Worlds 2.0, right? I mean, you'd have just mass hysteria.
I don't think it would, but yeah, I would think.
Yeah. No, I totally don't think so either, Bob. But like, let's be honest, like pitchforks and torches go a long way. When you
I feel like if suddenly they were like, oh yeah, there's aliens, here they are, people are like, oh, okay.
I think a lot of us would be. I think you understand like the analogy, right? Like it would be one of those.
But that's always like the thing is like the government can't tell you about it because then everyone will freak out too much and it's going to cause chaos. Just like, would it really? I feel like most people would just be like, oh wow, aliens, cool. And they go on with their lives.
Have you guys seen the playbook thing where they're like, we're going to start with Cold War, then terrorism, then mass, virus, so COVID, and then the next thing was extraterrestrials.
Yeah,
and if I joked about it with my wife whenever in 2017 that just to get off Cash for a minute, sorry. Whenever they came out with
I can cash out. Trust me.
The Navy came out with the videos, the Tic Tac and everything. I said, they're setting everybody up to make aliens the bad guys. That's the next thing. It's not going to happen now. It may happen in 10 years. I said, but this is the new control. The new control is aliens, because God forbid some alien comes down to Earth, sir. I'm Senator Kennedy.
What's more threat to national security than that's extraterrestrial?
What's that?
Right. What's a bigger threat to national security than extraterrestrial?
Exactly. Well,
global security. Now we need a global government.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's because it's outside even the like a nation state, right?
The other thing was, when Trump on his first term, he said, I'm going to make this thing called Space Force. Space Force has been in existence in the 80s. They just didn't tell everybody it was Space Force.
Right. Yeah, it's like they had that disinformation thing, that censoring bureau. They just didn't tell us they had it. Remember when they had that Jankowicz lady? She's like, "Hi, I'm going to create this thing." He's like, "No, that's been there. You're just trying to sell it right now."
Right. Exactly.
Right.
It's all. And then they finally put a name on it because so much time had passed. It's stupid not to have it, because it's been happening. It's happening now. It's been happening for our whole lives. And that's what the thing is. But with the aliens. But the funny thing about go back into the Cash and the Epstein thing is it's all they're muddying the waters, right? So they want it to go away. It's not going away. People keep talking about it and so forth. So now they're like, okay, wait a minute. Every conspiracy has this, right? if you think of any conspiracy, there's never a clean cut thing. So what they do is they bring in whenever people start harping on any conspiracy, it doesn't matter, even Harper Ray, when I said harping, they muddy the waters to make it more useful for them than it is for you to be talking about the conspiracy. Right. And so that's what they're doing with Epstein. Oh, who knows? Elon could be on there. Wait, Bezos could be a billionaire. Look, all these bad
guys, there's a picture with the president, with two presidents. He's picked. There's a picture. There's a painting of one of the presidents in a blue dress hanging in Epstein's house. By the way, so like
Clinton was in a blue dress. Oh my Lord!
Yeah, did you not see that painting? Yeah, everyone should Google that. You can just Google it. Just type in Clinton blue dress Epstein house.
Yeah,
and it looks beautiful.
I mean, when you become so wealthy, you got to have hobbies, and they just start going in all directions.
You know, that's the weird thing about that whole satanic cult thing or whatever. I don't call it the satanic cult. You just call it evil. But it's like once you get away with everything, you just see what more you can try to get away with. That just seems like natural instinct to take as much as you possibly can.
It's progression, right?
Yeah, and it's not defending it. It's only observing it, right? It's not like we're not justifying that that's okay. We're just seeing that, oh, if you can get away with doing this, you might go younger or you might go different. You know what I mean? Like, I could see this.
I mean,
anyway,
what is it? I'm trying to think. Is it Thailand? What's the country? Thailand or one of them where, I mean, it's rampant, right? Gary Glitter, he lived there and had all these underage women,
man boys and stuff.
Yeah,
boy girls.
I mean, it's an industry, for Christ's sake, over there. They have an whole industry based on the same kind of thing. You know, we just like to think we're in the United States. Well, we're much better than that, so we don't do this. But it happens all over the world, and there's still slavery to this day in other places in the world. So don't get on your high horse too high, because it's still happening. And it's just, you don't have to see it every day.
Let's share this comment because we're talking about Bill Clinton in a blue dress. It was Monica.
Devil in a blue dress. Devil in a
boy, that's good stuff. So, all right, let me try to get back on track, boys.
It was actually Monica that
so
took advantage of Bill.
Yeah, that's what it was. Monica took one for the team so she could get him and expose him for the pain in the bud that he is. Anyway, so we've got this conspiracy stuff. I've shared 3 or 4 people who suicided themselves. Here is yet another person. Mike
very
Rupert.
Coincidental how many people who are about to go be a crucial witness on a conspiracy case that suddenly die or suicide themselves. It's very, man, that's a dangerous game to be in.
Isn't it? Exposing truth is such a dangerous game. Now, this is Mike Rupert. What you want to do, web search Mike, Ruppert. He did have a website called, I forget what it is, and my brain's Swiss cheese, but he did a documentary and he had something else, and then by the way, this is a guy who suicided himself by shooting himself in the head twice. Yeah. Just to be clear, he suicided himself twice. Yeah.
So it's all nerd.
Yeah, I mean, he had attention to detail, so he made sure he got it right.
I am a former Los Angeles police narcotics detective, and I work South Central Los Angeles. And I will tell you, Director Deutsch, emphatically and without equivocation.
Can you speak further into the mic, sir? These mics don't seem to be.
I will tell you, Director Deutsch, as a former Los Angeles police narcotics detective, that the agency has dealt drugs throughout this country for a long time.
That would be the CIA. The world shouldn't be involved in U.S. stuff. CIA.
All right. All right. Obviously, that is an answer for a lot of you. Now, can you please? All right. Now, can you please?
I refer to.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute here. Wait a minute. If you don't like what's going on here, please leave now. Leave. No. Leave now, because there are others who do want to hear what's going on in this room. Will you please take your seats? I will come back to you as we roll back across to the center section.
Director Deutsch, I will refer you to 3 specific agency operations known as Amadeus, Pegasus, and Watchtower. I have Watchtower documents heavily redacted by the agency. I was personally exposed to CIA operations and recruited by CIA personnel who attempted to recruit me in the late 70s to become involved in protecting agency drug operations in this country. I have been trying to get this out for 18 years, and I have the evidence.
18 years. CIA sold to South Central LA. By the way, another conspiracy is that rap got co-opted by the CIA through gangster rap when they got NWA started with drugs and violence and misogyny and all that. Because remember, early rap was like hip, hop, hippie, the hippie hobby, they don't stop me. And then it was like mother, boom, 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 boom. You know, and it was like it became all this other stuff. So, what are your thoughts? You guys,
That's interesting though, because people had to buy into it, right? Like, you know, even if they purposely changed it to like, oh, everything's money and bitches and hoes and all that, it's just like it had a market. People liked it.
It had a market. Yeah, there you go.
It did, but when you promote the songs, those are the ones that happen to get popular, Jason. Isn't that funny?
Right.
Like if quality was true, seriously, explain disco for 4 years or 5, right? Like, and that's a true
I
thing.
like disco. Don't even.
But there was a whole conspiracy. They literally shut down music. They said they went all in on disco and literally left everything in the dust and thought this was going to be the thing, and it just created this weird void for like you still had artists, but complete void compared. Think about the 60s and where and that was the other thing. Drugs was another co-opted thing. The hippie movement was co-opted. All those musicians were all their parents were like in CIA or like Joint Chiefs of Staff, like Jim Morrison's dad and stuff, right?
Bay Tonkin, right? And then the Rolling Stones did a disco album, so go figure on that one. So yeah,
I don't even
bizarre,
want to know.
right? They cashed in.
I did not know that. I did not.
Oh, look it up. Yeah, look it up.
He glittered his lips, and then the light just showing off his lips like a disco ball.
Exactly. Yeah, of course.
It's like Lil Wayne doing a rock album.
This is I don't know if you guys realize this, but after World War II, the CIA, I think it was the CIA, was involved in bringing modern art to the forefront.
Yes.
Jackson Pollock and so forth.
I did know this.
Okay, good.
This.
Yeah. This is something that most people don't know because it's a really weird esoteric thing. So all these masterpieces were stolen during World War II. And in order to kind of devalue them and have a new art niche, they pump money into modern art and Jackson Pollock and all these kind of weird, kind of styles that were not commercially viable and made that a market, right? And they do the same thing with music. They do it with all this different other kind of stuff. They manipulate the markets in order to make a new market whenever things become out of their control. Like because all this stuff in World War II was all just stolen. And it was in private collections all over the place and worth a hell of a lot of money. And so they wanted to, put the kibosh on that. And they're like, guess what? Here's the new thing. And they pushed a bunch of money into that. And that's why we have Jackson Pollock. Because when you look at it, you're like, who cares?
Yes. Yeah.
But they snowed enough people into believing it and got paid off enough critics and so forth to make it be high art. And you're like, my kid could do this.
Yeah. That was one of them.
Yes. I'm so glad to hear that. Like when I learned about this, I was so happy because my autistic ass was just like,
you did not understand Pollock,
what the hell is this modern art? This is terrible. This is awful.
Yeah, what's a brick on a brick on a brick? A Rob code?
Yeah. Like I never got it.
By the way, I work. Oh,
sorry.
Good, Jason.
It's classic, like social proof building. Like, oh, someone's paying millions of dollars for this. Oh, it must be awesome. It's like once somebody sees that, they're like, oh, people are paying millions of dollars. Oh, this must be great. Now I want some. Now I want to copy it. Now I want to do something else similar. And it's just like that builds the whole market. So that's
it's all emperor's new clothes. It's all it is.
Yeah.
If you think
I hate to quote Soul Asylum, but nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd.
Right. Yeah. The old thing is, if you want a girlfriend, you got to have a girlfriend. And
exactly right.
You got to hang out.
How many husbands
women.
get hit on more than anybody, right? Because they're worth having.
They're like, wow, well, he must be desirable because he's married or what have you. He's a taken. And
I've still yet to experience this. I mean, I'm doing something wrong.
No, you may not. So you mentioned your autistic ass. You may just not know it. That's the situation.
That's also very possible.
His situational awareness is not so great. I got to be honest.
Because it may be happening and you just aren't tuned into it or don't care. And that's what happens. So, yeah, like Boogaloo to Boys in the Hood. I love that in the comments there. Yeah. Who doesn't like breaking two electric?
That's Justin for us. So we've got so many people online. We're hitting about 20 people on Rumble for the first time. Thank you again. Please, if you are on Rumble, if you're not on Rumble, please go to Rumble. Go to If by Whiskey. Click follow. That's it. Costs you nothing. It ain't gonna cost you nothing. Don't cost
you
nothing.
Have to watch a single video.
Yeah, nothing. Follow. You don't get extra. You don't even get an email. You don't. Maybe it tells you joined or something, but not from us. So, but we've got Justin on. We've got Zach on. We've got everybody on. So, guys, we've got 2 ways to go. We can go COVID or we can go 9/11. I'll let you guys choose which way you want to go before we move forward.
I vote for 9/11. We talk about COVID a lot.
All right, we do.
Sounds fine to me.
Let's do this.
Yes.
So let's do this. The day before 9/11, does everybody remember 9/10/2001? Does anybody remember 9/10/2001? No. Okay.
I don't think
Jason,
time
can you do me a favor and read
before 9/11.
Can you please do me a favor and read that for us?
On the 10th of September. Oh, you're going to read it. Go ahead.
Oh, Bob.
Oh, wait, everybody read it.
You got a better voice. Yeah.
Yeah, do it, Bob. Do it.
On the 10th of September, 2001, Secretary of Defense at the time, Donald Rumsfeld, announced that $2.3 trillion had gone missing from the Pentagon. Dollars?
No. Yes. 2.3 trillion doll hairs. Now, in addition, he says something else, and I clipped 2 separate parts. This didn't have the full clip, but I clipped the full part so you can hear the other half of that and then make a secondary decision as to, like, remember how you have, like, do you ever play like a video game where you have like objectives and then alternate objectives, like sub objectives, like gotta have and then nice to have kind of things? All right. Listen to the
Side
nice
quest.
to have that they actually ended up getting. So,
yeah.
According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions. We cannot share information from floor to floor in this building because it's stored on dozens of different technological systems that are inaccessible or incompatible.
day before 9/11.
Wait, what did that last part say? The very next day?
The Pentagon building got hit right where the accounting was done, as well as, and I'm gonna kind of go a little bit quicker, guys, just to push some of these through because I got a couple good videos, but including this building. And there's a thing, you guys heard of a third building that went down on 9/11, right? Not just the Pentagon getting hit, but an actual building in New York went down. You guys remember that?
Well, of course, we have the 2 towers, the World Trade Center. Yes.
100%.
WTC 7, right?
WTC, Tower 7.
There it is.
Tower
there it is, Tower 7. So this is the BBC reporting that circled building collapsing 20 minutes before it collapsed, or right before it collapsed. So this will be the fun. This is so beautiful.
I didn't know that. Wait, they reported it 20 minutes before it happened.
Watch the footage and watch them talk about it. It's right there. The building is in the circle, and watch it in the background when they talk about it. So this is one of the most crazy, compelling things. If it's not a simulation, Jason, there might have been a glitch in the Matrix here, but this is crazy town right here.
You can try to suppress it, but you cannot. You have seen it, and then there's no way back. it's not very healthy, to lie to yourself and say, no, I didn't see that. But many people do because it's simply too painful.
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago, I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing. And indeed it has. It seems that this was not a result of a new attack. It was because the building had been weakened during this morning's attacks. We'll probably find out more now about that from our correspondent, Jane Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy. As you can see behind me, the Trade Center appears to be still burning. We see these huge clouds of smoke and ash. And we know that behind that, there's an empty piece of what was a very familiar New York skyline, a symbol of the financial prosperity of this city that's completely disappeared now. And New York is still unable to take on board what has happened to them today.
Presumably there were very few people in the Salomon building when it collapsed. I mean, there were, I suppose, fears of possible further collapses around the area.
That's what you would hope, because they don't really know where to turn. That's the very sad thing. I think there's going to be a lot of very, very traumatized people that has hit them very, very hard.
Jane, I think many of us, when we heard the news, perhaps on the radio earlier today, were completely
look at it sketch out. You see the satellite footage cutting out?
Couldn't comprehend it. I mean, it was
Wonder
it almost
why.
sounded too far-fetched.
You think?
I was wondering what it's felt like for you being in Manhattan. Well, unfortunately, I think we've lost the line with Jane Stanley in Manhattan.
Oh, we lost the line, did we? Oh!
Oh no, we've lost the line.
Could it be the EMP from the blast that they actually did do, or could it just have been turned off before they did it?
Now, here we're going to show you a videotape of the collapse itself. Describe that. Now we go to videotape, the collapse of this building.
Straight down, so level, so even, perfectly straight, and it wasn't hit. It was from an office fire, guy.
Was there any jet fuel in that that particular building?
Oh, I was just gonna cut it out. Did you actually ask me to do that? I'll pull it back up. All right, I'm gonna share that one in a second. But you guys talk about that.
Oh,
so
I
what
didn't
are your
know you
thoughts
had
about
that.
this? Yeah. Go ahead and talk about it. But I'll pull it up.
Well, of course, we all know that jet fuel cannot melt steel beams. That's common knowledge, right?
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
So anyway,
Jet
so what are your
fuel
guys'
does
thoughts
not-
on Building 7? Have you guys ever heard any craziness or weird stuff?
I want to know. Okay, I want to know
go
what
ahead.
the normal explanation is. What is the, the excuse? Why do they say, oh, because I've heard, some debris from the other planes hitting the towers hit the back of the building and it was burning for several hours. That caused it to finally collapse. That's the normal explanation.
Yeah, so the normal explanation is that it caught on fire from the collateral damage of the original blast from the other side, but it was just an office fire, but it had burned all day. And it was like late in the afternoon. This was 5:41 or something when it collapsed, and that was 9 a.m. So I did want to bring this up because you just mentioned the jet fuel. What a great smart thing. But once again, we're going to talk about this in a second too, because we're here to bunk and debunk, right, guys? We're not just all crazy conspiracy theorists. We'll take logic into reason. Let's listen to this guy's logic.
That question. Jet fuel only burns at 1,500 degrees, and since steel
So he says
melts at
1,500.
700 degrees,
And it wasn't
was a
jet fuel, it was an
conspiracy.
office
I am
fire. It
so
wasn't jet
sick
fuel, just to be clear.
and tired of this argument. Now, I am not going to make any claims to what did or did not happen. If it was conspiracy, I do not care. What I am upset about is the retarded metallurgical things that you guys are saying. I'm not arguing the facts. Jet fuel does, in fact, burn at 1,500 degrees. Steel will start melting, some carbon steels, at 2,300 degrees. But if you hold this up as a reason for conspiracy, you are an idiot. This is a piece of half-inch thick steel, 836 structural steel designed for structures. This
Not an
is
I-beam,
a
by the way.
250-pound anvil. I'm going to put this steel in the back of this anvil, and I'm going to lift this 250-pound anvil with this bar of steel. Do you see how the structural steel is supporting this anvil? Okay. There. Now, in my furnace, I have an identical piece of half-inch bar of steel, just like this. And it's going to be around 1,800 degrees, just 300 more than jet fuel when it comes out. And I want you to see something very interesting. Go into the forge.
So, jet fuel 1,500, and it wasn't jet fuel that was on fire. It was actually lower temperature because of office fire. But he put this at 1,800. So it's a little skewed. But not that far off.
I put this in the oven. Now watch this. I'm going to take my pinky finger, half-inch solid steel. Check it out. It's a freaking noodle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. It bends. Once again, let me play. Now we share that it bends, right? Does that seems compelling? Okay, sure.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it could collapse under, right? Like it could collapse.
Yes. I always, again, engineer. I always hated that argument because, like, okay, it doesn't have to completely melt steel to make it more flexible, more, bendable.
Correct. So it needs to make it structurally unsound to support the weight that's above it, right?
Yes.
So we can clearly argue that if you look at the building 7 stuff, I think the buildings were like the bottom floors were on fire. So say the bottom 2 or 3. So it was the bottom one that held it all up. Okay.
But how?
Now I'm going to, good, Jason.
Why was the bottom floor on fire?
Right. They think that, once again, maybe
cigarette
the fuel spilled over.
butt,
Right. Like you said, debris. It's
Did
hard
you know
to say,
that,
but once again, it was an office fire, right?
Manila folders burn at 3,000 degrees. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Well, those Manila folders are pretty hard to rip.
Important point. Yeah.
That is a pretty darn good point. So are you guys familiar with Congressman Kurt Weldon? He was on Tucker recently. He's done the rounds. Okay. So he's been on Tucker. This is with him on Redacted. He's been on Jimmy Dore. He's a congressman from Pennsylvania who is going to be the chief of like the intelligence committee. But then he asked about 9/11, and then they basically ruined his life, went after his daughter, and then ended his political career.
Mm-hmm.
Just what a great country we live. Let me play this one for you guys. And I love the accent because he's got such a good Pennsylvania accent.
So I was there on the scene, not as a politician, as a firefighter with the New York Fire Department, as I was in '93. And there's no way that those towers that I had been to as a citizen, that what was left there was the remnants of those towers. There's just no way. I mean, I was there. The building 7, there's no way that building came down without being hit by a plane. How that happened? I mean, I saw the reports. I have heard the statements. I've heard the language
He's so
of the
straight,
firefighters
right?
who are in the buildings hearing explosions. You don't hear explosions in buildings when there's a fire going on. Controlled demolition. We were so consumed by the spin put out by the deep state. And they control the spin. You know that. I know that.
Right.
They make the spin. The spin was about getting Al-Qaeda, focusing on the war, sending their troops over, getting bin Laden. We forgot about, what about the investigation? What really happened here? Only when I was forced by my firefighter friends to look at the film, one is called Bravo 7, where you see Building 7 come down on its own. There's no fire there. It just collapsed. Now, Donald Trump has stated that publicly as a building person. He knew that.
So what are your thoughts, guys, on Kurt Weldon, who was the expert, who really did start doing some deep diving after that?
Well, it's very weird. Maybe it's not weird. It's probably normal.
Remember, the other towers went down right on top of themselves too, without damage to really anything else.
It's
Rather
probably
than fall
normal
over,
that anyone questioning the official narrative is suddenly attacked and suddenly a victim of all kinds of suspicious circumstances, we'll say. That's probably totally normal. That's not anything to question at all.
You want to read Justin's comment, Jason, because you had commented on it as well. So love your
Yeah,
thoughts.
Justin said, I actually hated the fact when I came to the conclusion that 9/11 was in fact an inside job. It's so hard to even imagine that our government was capable of such a thing. Yeah, it's really sad and hard to believe that they would be involved or even let it happen. I think that's kind of maybe a foregone conclusion at this point, that even if they weren't involved, they at least knew about it and they let it happen.
So, Bob, I don't know if you know of this, but of the 19 hijackers that day, 11 of them had visited Bosnia, Chechnya, or some other place that we had globalized bin Ladenism. Bill Clinton brought bin Laden from Afghanistan and globalized it by bringing him up to Yugoslavia to help fight the Russians.
Right.
And so we did all this fun stuff. So basically 11 of the 19 had like gone in and out of the country without a problem and had been basically actually visited these terrorist countries that they came from. It's unbelievable. What's funny is though, wasn't it they found some really weird evidence though, because allegedly passports are indestructible, right?
Yes.
I mean,
jet fuel does not melt steel beams, but it does.
Right.
No, wait, it does melt steel beams, but not passports. Passports are.
So what I love is this. So Kurt Weldon talks about the spin, and we talked about like, is it true? All these things, right? And I love this. This is just my absolute favorite. And remember, Rumsfeld in the beginning, 2.3 trillion. That was part of it. That was the money part. We can talk about Pentagon as a separate deep dive. We'll have to do maybe another day, Jason. But the interesting thing is, he also said we don't have coordination between all our intelligence agencies. And what got passed after 9/11? Oh, the Patriot Act. And what got extended last year? Oh, the 702, right? Section 702, which basically removes your Fourth Amendment right of right to, was it free warrant or search and seizure, something like that? Search.
But it's very common for different law enforcement agencies not to communicate with each other. Like that's a very common, normal thing to happen. And they make all these things happen, and the other one's not aware, and then they go in and try to fight each other. And it's I don't even know, but I would guess like 50% or more of these like conspiratorial criminal actions are actually just law enforcement
government incompetence, for sure.
Incompetence. It's not even like a conspiracy. It's just like, oh yeah, we didn't know you guys were doing that. Sorry.
That's the thing. Maybe we should do that. Maybe you're like, hey, we want to do this. Like, oh yeah, do it, because government fails at everything they do. They literally do the opposite. So we should like encourage them to do this stuff. So let me share this, guys. Let me share this beautiful thing. Remember, passports are indestructible.
Another development on Saturday, New York officials revealed at a news conference here in the city that a hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that. No other details were given, but the discovery prompted the FBI and police to expand the search area.
Well, Dan, not far from here, a passerby found the passport of one of the hijackers. Evidence this disaster scene is also a crime scene.
Remember,
Listen to the words.
Not only at a rescue operation, but a gigantic crime scene. A high-ranking FBI official on the scene tells me this morning the focus is a systematic grid search. Agents starting from several blocks out in every direction, working from the outside in, searching for evidence.
The FBI tells NBC News it was some distance from ground zero that a civilian found a passport lying on the street belonging to one of the suspected hijackers. It's an indication of just how widely dispersed the evidence could be.
David Lee Miller at Ground Zero, and also at Building 7, which is not far from where the World Trade Center. It's all the World Trade Center complex, which was
far from, but close enough to fucking.
Later on Tuesday
there's
afternoon.
one.
That's where Rick
close enough to
Leventhal
collapse.
is,
I did
and we're
one.
going to check in with him for the latest from just outside Building 7. Rick.
Donna, when these buildings came crashing down on Tuesday, they sent debris showering in several blocks in every direction. And it was in one of those areas a couple of blocks away from the World Trade Center site, apparently where that passport was found. The FBI announcing that it has found the passport of one of the hijackers who was on board one of those two planes that hit the Twin Towers on Tuesday morning.
The building fire couldn't stand a fire. The building couldn't handle fire, but the passport got through unscathed, everybody.
The building fell down perfectly onto itself.
Right.
But
Yeah,
the passport was found blocks away.
I'm like, hey, some jamoke's like, hey, who's this guy? Mohammed. Oh, it's one of those guys. He must be one of them terrorist guys, right? Probably. Okay, let's go. It's probably
who's picking up crap on the street after all this? You know what I mean? What are they? You know?
Hey, I got a souvenir, guys. Remember that day that those towers were blew up?
It's all asbestos.
Not to be glib, but man, for all those people who suffered all the the cancers and the asthma stuff, all the firefighters, everybody who went through that whole ordeal, I do think that it was somehow known about by people. It's just an opinion. Once again, I'm sure YouTube will strike me for this opinion, stating another opinion. But
not allowed to have opinions. We know that.
I know, man. But I feel my heart breaks that we have these false flag events, and I will share a quick thing about that because I've got 2 more clips to play after that. But do you guys have any more thoughts about this?
You guys know the story. I can't remember the name of the flight, but during World War II, a plane flew into the Empire State Building. Do you guys know the story?
Did not know.
Yeah. So during World War II in the fog, they were flying over New York, and it like a twin engine plane. I can't remember this. It was a big plane though, not a little plane, not like a Cessna or anything. This was like a military plane, flew in to the Empire State Building.
Wow.
And exploded.
And made it and still lasted.
It's still there, right?
So the Empire State Building collapsed, right?
No, it's still there. And
no, it's not Empire 2.0.
So that happened back during World War II. It was civilian. I mean, it was a military aircraft during World War II in the United States flying around. And then the other thing is there's a documentary about the Twin Towers, and they state specifically the architects state you could fly a 747 into a tower and it will not collapse.
Correct. They did say that. And I'm so glad. Thank you so much, Bob, for bringing up military, because I wanted to bring up a beautiful military service person in Jesse Ventura. And if anybody knows about truth, it's Jesse Ventura, right?
Right.
Wait, is this Piers Morgan?
Yeah.
Look how young he looks. This is so long ago, guys. This has got to be like, this is crazy. So, and it is true. You are correct, Bob. I remember they said you could fly. And remember, the entire thing went down. Why did the top not just topple off? Like, it literally defies all logic on all 3 of those. So let me share some Jesse Ventura, everybody.
It was weakened whenever they blew that bomb up in the garage a few years ahead of that. So.
That's true. It was weakened for that time.
Yeah.
By the way, the CIA is the guy who helped that guy do that too. What do we know?
Failed attempt.
So it could take a 747, but what about a 757?
2001. What would you have done if you'd been president?
Are we going to do this?
Go ahead.
Are we going to do this, Jason?
Yeah. No.
Wait. Hold on, because you know this. Hold on. Just for people who don't know, the 747 is bigger than the 757.
Right.
That was a stupid comment. I was just
777.
No, it was great. It was great. But just in case people didn't know that, what about a 787?
What about the 847? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Please play. Yes.
On September the 12th, 2001. What would you have done if you'd been president?
What would I have done?
Yeah.
I would have done a legitimate investigation to find out what exactly happened on 9/11. How did they know who did this so quickly like they did Lee Harvey Oswald?
They found
How quick they knew Lee Harvey Oswald killed Kennedy.
Because the people who did it were identified and we knew who they were.
Well, then why couldn't we have stopped them
Yours is still
beforehand
stupid even
if
back
they were
then.
identified and we knew who they were?
It was a failure of intelligence. Everyone's accepted
No, it
that.
wasn't. We knew before with Condoleezza Rice's memo on August 6th when it stated right in the memo, bin Laden to steal planes and run them into buildings. And more stuff is coming out now also, how much the Bush administration ignored the intelligence. It was almost like they ignored it because they wanted it to happen.
Oh, come off it, Jesse.
No, not come off.
Come on, Jesse. These British people are pissing me off.
Starts with a false flag operation.
Hey, do you know who the first person to head up the CIA was?
Piers Morgan's great-grandfather?
Van Deventer Bush.
A Bush? Oh, okay.
Yes, the Bush is... Well,
George W.'s grandfather.
And H.W. was in the CIA.
Yeah. And
the head of the CIA.
And his father was
the head of the CIA, right.
The first person, though, was his father. Yeah.
I want to play this other clip very quickly because we talked false flags, and Justin is here. And Justin had a great question for me because I shared this on the Boomer social network, also known as Facebook. But basically, I shared this video. But remember, we're talking false flags, right? You guys have heard of Gulf of Tonkin. You guys heard of Operation Northwoods. You guys have heard of all these other crazy things. Even, obviously, Pearl Harbor, 9/11, these things pulled us into these wars, into these conflicts, right? Well, look at what happened just out of the blue this week on Fox News.
Fox News exclusive satellite images revealing the location of a previously unknown Iranian nuclear site. Now, the facility spans nearly 2,500 acres, and this is a big discovery. Jillian Turner has more from the State Department. Good morning, Jillian.
Pretty explosive, Dana. These satellite images that we have obtained exclusively show the alleged site location and even the layout of the secret, previously unknown nuclear weapons facilities inside Iran. This, of course, raises fresh concerns about the regime's role in these ongoing nuclear talks with the Trump administration. The National Council of Resistance of Iran has collected intelligence from sources on the ground inside Iran that locate this nuclear weapons facility in what is called Semnan province, far from the regime's already known nuclear sites. It's codenamed the Rainbow Site by Iran's officials, and it spans nearly 2,500 acres. It's been operating, as far as we can discern, for over a decade under the cover of a chemical production company that's called Diba Energy Siba. The so-called Rainbow Site's reportedly being used primarily to extract tritium. It is a material that's used to boost nuclear weapons with no real civil or commercial applications, putting paid to Iran's longstanding claim they just want nuclear power for peaceful purposes.
It's been running for a decade. 2,500 acres, super duper secret, already has a code name. And the information was brought to them by some anti-Iranian coalition. Were they? Did it start with an I and end with Zriel by any chance?
And we just happened to find it right when there's a threat of war with Iran. Yes,
right before we're going to drop the bombs. Bob, you were there. Saddam, you were a little young, Jason, but Saddam Hussein, WMDs, and remember the nuclear, the yellow cake uranium.
He had yellow cake.
Yeah, I mean, it's all set up, but you can't tell me that we've had Google Maps for more than 10 years and they didn't see this thing.
Yeah,
and it's goes underground, so clearly not. And
what do you mean? There's no picture of it. It's just sitting out there. It's like the McDonald's on the highway or something sitting there.
So if Jason is on, please copy and paste your question. Or I'm sorry, Justin. If Justin is on, Jason, you're right there. If Justin is on, please copy and paste your question from the Facebook. Bring it over because I don't remember it, but put it on the YouTubes and we'll address it. But basically, this is so much similar to Iraq for me. This screams like this is so identical. When I saw that thing, I was like, oh my God, it's been operating for a decade, super secret, double secret probation underground facility. Like, come on.
Right.
So before we do continue, though, I would like to recommend there is a documentary called 0 Days, and it is awesome. And it is actually about it. I don't want to spoil alert, but does actually pertain to some of this nuclear stuff. So, so Bob, as a person who doesn't look into the depths like myself, is not Nietzschean like me, what have you heard about Iran and stuff?
Well, we've always had problems with Iran, right? So actually, the funny thing is in the 70s, Iran was very Western. So if you go look up Iran when the Shah was there, who we helped install through other means, it was very aligned with the West. and since then has fallen off, right? So people look at Iran today and they think, oh, this is the way it's been for eons or something. That's not the case. It was very progressive back in the day. And so, yeah, it's all like, sometimes I wonder, and I'm a little off topic with these questions, but it's all kind of a play. I think that they're all just moving chess pieces. There are no real enemies, right? If you think about
1984.
Before that even.
Right,
So
but I mean, like Eurasia, Europe, and then our enemies are friend, our friends are enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Cold War, there was no enemies. The Russians always helped the U.S. in space. Always. We were together on Skylab during the Cold War, right? Yeah. Even today, the Russians still help the U.S. in space, right? All of them do. They all cooperate as far as space is concerned. So to me, it's another way to control people, because you have to have a fear, and this is a new fear. Oh, we got the fear. Oh, these Iranians, because most people in the United States and other places don't ever encounter people who look like that or talk like that, or have the same culture, and they get scared of them. And it's an easy way to control everybody. So then they just bop around the world, and okay, well, we got to have a target here, and that way we can kind of control the populace, because there are no real enemies anymore. The closest thing to an enemy is North Korea, because they don't want to play ball with anybody. And
it's actually worse than that, Bob, because we're not just othering other nations, we're othering ourselves.
Yeah, well, yeah,
we're so diverse. Like, just we're a 1 or a 0. Like, we are binary. Like, you were either this or that. You can't be gray. You have to be, just black or white. There's just there's
no in between. But the realities are that it's all a big ploy, a big play, and this is just another. It's the same. Like I said, it's the same playbook over and over and over again, and because there's a certain kind of rise to power for people, right? So as you get older, you lose your power base personally, right? So you go into a job, you're young, you have to fight for everything. Then you get to a point where you're, the supervisor and so forth. And then you get old enough to where you're going to be going out. And we've done this so much that, no one can hold on. And there's all this play going on with the government and countries. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you talk about the Bilderbergs and all that kind of stuff, that it's all just a ploy, right? It's just, well, okay, we got to keep people in line. Now, third world countries don't have to worry about so much. They're just trying to eat, and get by. But first world countries,
and then the second they get any kind of prosperity, they put these climate control things on them that literally starve their people to death, like Sri Lanka and other. It's unbelievable. Like, this global effort to destroy humanity is like unbelievable, and I don't even know where it's coming from or who's doing it, but I know there are forces doing that. I know there's other forces that aren't. There's other people just like, leave us alone, but there are forces doing that somewhere.
Yeah,
it's aliens
bad.
or ancient Egyptians,
right? Or both.
Probably both.
Yeah.
So I did want to share this once again. This is Jason's question from the Facebook, the Boomer Social Network.
Justin,
or Justin, gosh darn it, because I was just going to say, Jason, could you please read that? I've been playing this Justin Jason game for way too long. I got to stop. All right.
It happens. Justin says, so what if this is legitimate information? They are, in fact, working toward building their own nuclear weapons program. I assume your take would be that we should just stay out of it and let it happen. Is that your take?
The realities are that everybody's got nuclear stuff. It's not like it's not the prized possession it once was many years ago. I mean, there's so much nuclear material in the world. In St. Louis, did you know that there's a nuclear dump site here from World War II when they were refining uranium, and it's leaking over in St. Louis? I'm sure it's not guarded heavily. If you wanted to get some, uranium, it's probably there for the taking at this point, because basically they were refining it here, and whenever the war ended, okay, let's shut it down, as they do so many other things, and it's just sitting here. And the big worry is that it's going to breach, and they've buried stuff and whatnot, but it's a worry every like 6 to 9 months. People talk about, well, I don't know what's going to happen with all this nuclear stuff we have sitting over here, and groundwater, but it's here and it's all over the world at this point. And so and you can go and find how to make nuclear weapons pretty easily if you want to put the time in.
I do want to share that we do have a proxy war with two of the largest nuclear weapons, right? Nuclear weapon capable countries right now. No nuclear weapons have been discharged, thank goodness. Yeah. Also, two direct people who hate each other in India and Pakistan, who both have nuclear capability, literally signed a ceasefire right away because they probably figured out how quickly that could escalate. So, like, the nuclear part, remember Gaddafi, this Libya model that they're talking about for Iran that's not going to get Iran to bend the knee, because that ended up with a bayonet in Gaddafi's butt. That's not how they want this to end. Gaddafi was told to get rid, or asked to get rid of his nuclear. He played every which way ball he could, and they still got rid of him. They still got rid of him. The reason we're not in North Korea is because of the nuclear deterrent. Yes, can it be used offensively? Sure it can. But let's be honest, the thing keeping us from going there is that they have that. More than anything. It doesn't allow them to be aggressors.
Justin threw in here, none of those countries are a leading sponsor of terrorism in the world like Iran is. How do you know?
Yeah.
Just because it's not on the news doesn't mean it's not happening. I mean,
and I will say that we have been told this time and time again, but I can also tell you that I understand the hatred that the Iran has or the Shah has for us since we removed them from power back in, was it 56 or whatever, and then they had the revolt in the late 70s under Carter. So like once again, it doesn't excuse it. It doesn't justify it. It talks, we literally look at the causality of decision and the correlated action from which that happens. I know we got to.
If you really want to look at who the biggest state sponsor of terrorism in the world is, it's the United States.
Right. It's sad but true. Because if you again and again, if you look at a history, we put Saddam Hussein in place. We put the Shah in place. We put the Ayatollah in place at some point. We put Noriega in place.
Or Manuel Noriega, right? Now Panama, we want Panama back, right?
Right. So all of these things. Now, how many mistakes do you make before you're like, this is not a mistake?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So just read. I mean, this is what everybody needs to do, and it's we say conspiracies, and we joke about tinfoil hats, and we joke about this and that and whatever, but the realities is eventually things come out, and if you are diligent and look for read about things, and try different sources, not always the same source, right? And just look for it. I mean, it comes out. Everything comes out eventually. The problem is it comes out so far after the fact that you can't change it. And it's done. What's done is done. It's kind of like, Mark and Jason, quit fighting. We got to move on here, right? So that's the situation, and then everybody moves on, or it's generational.
That fight was hours ago. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we're buddies now. We're drinking whiskey and having a good time. And but yeah, it is it's weird and it's wild, and you gotta wonder. We love shows like Star Trek and all these kind of utopian kind of situations, but we never can have it. We can have it. I always say that we live in the future and we don't know it. Anything you want to do, you name it. Like, Jason, what would be you're an engineer, you said, what do you think would be great for us to have that would alleviate a lot of suffering?
Oh man, just a hard money, not a Federal Reserve currency,
or no money at all.
Perhaps. No, I think money is good. Actually, I think it's a good tool.
I mean, with AI, the coming of AI and everything, do we need money? Can't we just exist?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions with AI
That's
for sure.
That's a great one to explore maybe for the future.
I
think you can do another show. I know we
should have done. Yeah, that would. That's great to start at the tail end of 2 hours, Bob. Jeez. No, but like seriously though, that is a great question because the answer to that would be great. So at least you could feed yourself with enough nutrition to be not sick. How about something like that? Some minimum, whatever. That would be a great thing, right?
I know why Jason says money, because money's a motivator, right?
Right. Money is a motivator, and that's the thing.
The only
there
reason
are levels. Right. Some people don't want to live with the exact number of calories. They want to eat the steak, not the lab meat or something, for example, right?
But it's not just a motivator, it's a signal. The prices that give signals of what's important for people. So it's not just like, I want to make money, so I'm going to do this thing. It's like,
what if existing was the important thing? What if existing was the important thing? What do you care if somebody doesn't do anything? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Why do you get so aggravated if it costs you nothing to have somebody exist and it is all manageable? Who cares?
A very interesting question. Yeah.
This is the point, Bob. The question is this: would it take anyone else's labor to distribute all that to other people?
Maybe not soon.
Maybe not.
Right. So
maybe not.
So maybe not. Right. With the invention of AI and robotics, perhaps that's a direction we can go. Right.
Yeah.
We're not there now.
I would say we are there. We're not allowing ourselves to be there.
I don't think we have the robotics to do that. Because see, one of our tenets.
Have you seen the video? They do have the robotics to do it.
That's some crazy stuff.
They can't do every step of it. Is my point. They can't do every step. There would still be some human interaction.
I don't think we're there yet, but yeah, maybe soon.
Maybe we could get there. But Bob, one of our things is it's not a natural right if it requires someone else's labor to do it.
Right, exactly. But if we got past that, who cares?
Right. If we can get past the 100 and the energy too. Did you guys listen to that guy that was on Rogan about the energy, the quantum vacuum energy? You were talking about that, Bob.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I didn't see that particular thing, but yeah.
Oh, you need to go on that. But he's making chips that's actually building these quantum vacuums and a little voltage in between these plates. Using the quantum
there's
field.
Energy all around us, and
I'm
Jason can talk to that. But
can I ask you guys a question about that? Because Bob, you brought that up. You wanted to talk about this. Well, they talk about this vacuum energies there, but only because everything balances out eventually, right? If we tap into the vacuum energy without tapping into its antithesis somewhere there, will there be an imbalance, create some kind of other issue? Does that make sense?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Right? Does
that would be really fun to get into, but that could take a whole 2 hours too.
Yeah, that's a whole 2 hours, guys. But no, this has been a great conversation. If you guys want to wrap it up for the end of the show or anything,
I actually need to go, but I would love to talk about these other things if you guys would have me again at some point. It doesn't have to be right away, but I mean all these other ones are good too, but I think also looking to the future, because we're talking about conspiracies that happened pre-AI. After AI, there's going to be things that happen that we will never, ever know if it's true or not. Ever. Because it's too good now. And the only reason we're seeing it is because it's better than we know.
Yeah. 100%. And then you got to ask, is the truth important at that point?
Exactly.
Yep. So guys,
leave it on that one there. Leave it on Jason's. Is the truth important? There you go.
Is the truth important? I do want to leave it on this, because the reason Jason even started his podcasting, Bob, is because of COVID. I mean, it's almost directly because of that. So Jason found this clip. It's hilarious. We had to play it. We're going to play this. And then if you guys could say your goodbyes, and then we'll call it a night. How's that
sound?
Sounds
good.
All right. Let me play this real quick.
It's just good to see everybody having a good time. The country's almost back to normal before World War III. COVID was just so strange. We lost a lot of people during COVID, and most of them are still alive. Yeah, right?
One of my favorite jokes when I saw him
There's
do
a lot
that.
of people that I don't fuck with anymore. Before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon. I think Michelle Obama's got a dick. I think Pizzagate is real. I think there's direct energy weapons in Antarctica. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't think Michelle Obama's got a dick, but I believe all that other shit.
That's great.
That's great.
On that, guys. So, Bob, if you want to share your stuff again before we call it a day, and then Jason, once again, please share your.
Yeah, go ahead, Bob. Yeah.
My name is Mark Poles, and I do a thing called Not Conscious. No, Bob LeMent, Static Radio, staticradio.com, at Static Radio on the socials. You know, it won't be quite as interesting as this, but maybe a laugh or two.
I think the
That's
next
all we can
conversation
really
is going to
hope
be a banger.
for.
I think the next one's going to be a banger.
Yes. Hey, Matt, it's been awesome. Thank you so much. I would really like to talk about that other stuff, getting into the future and what that means with AI and basically unlimited resources at that point. That would be a really fun conversation. But yeah, follow me at Drop the Mask Pod. And If by Whiskey is my main thing right now. So follow us on Rumble, If by Whiskey, Rumble channel.
And Bob, it was great seeing you, man. We'll definitely do this again. We definitely let's talk about the positive stuff. This was kind of one of those negative episodes, right? Let's talk about the positive of unlimited energy and all this stuff. So what I'll do is I'll share some clips about that vacuum energy stuff, and we'll get connected afterwards.
Okay.
Once again, at Static Radio, staticradio.com. Is that
That's
correct?
it. Yeah.
Man, beautiful. Bob, anything else you want to share before we call it a day? We've got this beautiful outro everyone's got to stick around for too, because Jason put it together. I think it's the first time we're playing it, right, Jason?
First time.
The first time we're going to play it on the podcast. So thank you. First of all, thank you to everyone who's joined us. We've got 50 people on, and it's a Monday night. You could find better things to do. So once again, Jason, thanks for making the intro outro. Roman Garcia of Roaming Bandits made the music. Thank you again for that. This one does have lyrics, Bob, so you'll get to hear this one in a second.
Good.
All right, everybody, have a great day.
I love to sing along.
Good night.
Take care.
I've got my iron and my 6 string.